Amvet roof, we know it leaks, so we've been addressing it constantly. The winter is really tough to try and address these things. As you try and get into them and address them, especially on a built-up roof like this, you kind of create more problems. So as you dig into these to fix these problems, you may contribute to that problem by making a leak in a different spot. What we have is this roof is very thin. It's aged. It's time. It's beyond its useful life, like many of them. We're going to look into it. I actually had an evaluation, an engineer come out beginning of March to give me an assessment of a quote for an evaluation on what it's going to cost to actually redo this roof completely. We're looking right now at close to around $1 million to do this. So this is a little bit of a process, but the same engineer that did community is the guy I had come out to look at Amvet. We just got this one done. This is my next one that we want to tackle.
We are addressing it. So any inference or suggestion that we're not addressing it that's simply not true. We're trying our best and investing a significant amount of resources into it. In some ways, you're throwing good money after bad, but we need to mitigate the problems. But I also wanted to say this is not a new issue, and it's certainly maybe just one example of many in our community where we have significant facilities deficiencies. Right? We've talked about that several times this year already, and long term we need to tackle them. One of the ways that we wanted to tackle it as a community was to potentially renovate or build a new building. In this case, Amvet and community's been mentioned too, and this community's had MSBA applications in for several years called Statement of Interest. Now, as you all know, our statement of interest for the high school finally got approved after multiple tries. Our elementary schools did not. And I'm just going to be blunt when I say it is very unlikely that we're going to get another project in the next, decade, let's say, just for sake of example. And we knew that, right? We knew that. But what's happened, I think, and I wasn't here, but what's happened, I think, is we've all been waiting anxiously to see what would happen with MSBA. And the fact is there is deferred maintenance. I mean, it's just, there is. But now that we kind of know where we stand, now it's time as a community to kind of tackle kind of the significant deficiencies in the buildings and see how we can approach it.
Update and a personnel update.
Yeah, just a couple of things related to the athletic complex project, and just to refresh us all, that's bleachers, track, and concessions, bathrooms, to bring it up for ADA compliance issues. So a couple of things about the project where, we've talked about this many times this year, but it's in multiple phases. The phase we're in right now is the design phase. We have actually it took a while, but the final designer contract just got signed yesterday, I believe, although he's been working and progressing quite a bit. We're hopeful that we're going to go out to bid, at least for the bleacher portion of the project, hopefully this month. The reason that's really going to be the linchpin to this whole project because of the availability of steel and delays of supply chain, that type of thing. So we want to get out front and get the bleachers on order. Reason I wanted to bring it up tonight is just to say, I've used the word ambitious several times this year describing it, like, will we make the fall? We're not going to make the fall, at least the opening of the fall season. It's simply because of the bleachers. But in terms of being able to open the full facility and hosting large games, we likely will not be ready for the fall season, which we kind of knew. I mean, I was sort of optimistic, but it really was ambitious. So I just want to say the project's moving forward. There's still definitely some, we still have to secure some funding to bring it home. We have about $1.8 million in the bank, if you will, from past CIP funds. There's been a multi-month conversation with the town to take money from free cash to supplement that amount. But to do the whole project with concessions and bathrooms, when we did the master plan last year, I don't know if this committee was part of that master plan, but when the master plan was developed, it could be a $4.5 or $5 million project when it's all said and done. It's just, construction costs are just insane. So I'm in constant conversation with the town manager about it, and we will have a plan. It's just we have to do it in stages. So stay tuned. I'm really excited about it, but you know, it's an effort. It's not a small project. It's actually significant. We kept on referring to things like, you know, kind of, oh, it's just bleachers, it's just track. Well, it's actually a really, really significant project. A lot of site work, a lot of design, and quite frankly, a lot of expensive construction, plumbing, and that type of thing. So, really excited about it. But it's progressing, but we have a lot of work to do.